Hello, Balazs. Welcome there. Thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure to be here. How are you doing?
I'm good. What about you?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, so first topic that I want to cover with you is the following. From an external point of view, from my point of view, water polo in Hungary is kind of big thing. It's kind of national sport, I suppose. Do I get it right?
Yes, more or less.
Yeah, and why it's so popular in Hungary, in your opinion?
For sure, there's a historical point of view because going on from the early Olympics, Hungary was a strong team, and actually one of the first ones of the water polo teams that participated in the Olympics. Because of that, because of the strong history of Hungary winning many medals, mostly golds, in the Olympics, which is the biggest stage in water polo. Yeah, growing up in Hungary, you just know that we are strong candidates when it comes to high prestige water polo matches.
It's sort of it's the same of football in Italy.
I wish, yes, but yeah, when the national team plays, both women and men, the Hungarian national television always air it live, so every Hungarian citizen has a chance to see the Hungarian national water polo teams. But when it comes to club matches, the thing is not very well because there aren't many matches which you can see live in television. And from this year on, more and more teams try to do live streams, but the quality is better or worse, and it's not everything that can afford to do live streams. So yeah, it's a bit twisty and tricky when it comes to club sports, but the national team, yes. And in my opinion, it's very common that the kids who play water polo know the current members of the national teams, both the head coaches and the players that have a chance to get into the national team and actually play for Hungary.
Okay, in Hungary, you are better from this point of view, from the cultural point of view, but I understood that you want to improve. And for you, what's the recipe to just grow water polo worldwide and specifically in Hungary?
Well, it's, in my opinion, it's all about advertising, not just to have many ads in the TVs or in YouTube or what's not, but to get to know it with the kids, with the next generation, to reach the schools, the local let's see, workshops where kids actually spend their times. So I believe that if we want to grow water polo in Hungary and improve both as a community and as individuals, we have to focus always on the next generation who comes in to try this sport, and somehow our goal is to stick them with this sport, and yeah, that's how we can grow as a community.
So you are a coach, a 16 under coach.
Yes.
Okay, and so it's kind of your job to do it. And how do you think we can get kids involved in water polo?
Yes, it really makes me think, because that's what I try to reach in them, actually, to get interested in the current higher level water polo. In my opinion, there's two things. The first is when a kid comes to training and just participate in it. All right, his sports, it's good for his health, what's not. But the other thing is when he or she is really interested in this sport, which means, in my opinion, that after trainings or during the weekends, he will actually sit in front of television when it comes to live streams, or follows some water polo teams on social media and try to get as many informations as possible. The second part is so about the deeper connection and the interested in part.
Yeah.
Yes.
How to get involved?
Absolutely, and to involve them. It's a tricky question because today's generation is cannot focus on only one thing in a deeper level because of the many impulses he or she gets just when the kid looks at his phone, or when he goes around. There's so much information, so much impulses which will distract their attention from, let's say, water polo. So it's a tough question to how to reach their focus and stick it to water polo. In my opinion, I try to organize every of our trainings as much interesting as possible. Swimming from side to side, yeah, it's not very interesting, but it's useful. But if I can understand with the kids that, guys, it's for your best. It's not because I like the way you swim and I like to see it for like 50 minutes, but it's for your improvement, your future improvement. So if I can get informated the kids, and because of that he or she will have a better understanding of why he should do those exercises. And other than swimming, there is many ways to have an attractive training, a fun way where he or she actually upgrade his skills. One of the big lessons I've learned is that you cannot have two exactly similar trainings because the kid will get bored of it.
Yeah.
You always have to change something, a bit of this, a bit of that, to get the kids' attention and not to lose it so easily.
To provide stimulus to the kids to just be attracted from the sport. And then I do think that you need to share passion and to just passionate him. And talking about the interesting topic that you told about before, the attention of nowadays kids, it's like 7 seconds because
Yes.
of social network, because of a lot of distractions. And yes, I do think it's a problem for our sport, but also sport can be a medicine for it, because maybe in the next few years, a lot of parents will send the kids to do sports just in order to solve it. Because if you have a water polo training, it's kind of 2 hours without your phone. And so it's really a good thing for a kid who has this problem. And I do think every kid nowadays has this problem. So I do think it can be the illness, but also the medicine for it. And talking about a training session, I do think that maybe Hungarian players have the best shooting technique and also are the best shooters of the world. And so I want to ask you, do you take particular care about this fundamental during your training session, or it's just like when you born in Hungary, you born with?
No, we don't have any of this magic, sadly. Yes, we have to work on it almost in every sessions as possible and as much time as possible, because like you said, in Hungary, somehow in many teams, not just in top levels, there is at least one or two guys whose shot is just the strength, the precisity of it. Yeah, it makes the team on another level. And we also have to upgrade these skills with our kids to absolutely score some goals, because it's not just about the physical ability to shoot the ball with as much strength as possible, but the technique, the precisity of it, which in my opinion, if you want to score not just a strong goal, but a precise goal, you need to have something in your mind about it. You need to think beforehand the shoot. So in my opinion, for example, in the last episode of yours, there was a session about or segment of a Varga Danish and his skills. Varga always 1 or 2 steps ahead of everyone in the pool, and this is one of the biggest reasons why he can score some amazing goals, because he always thinks beforehand. And if that's the case, the goalkeeper and the defenders cannot follow him, cannot understand what his next move will be.
Yeah, so you're saying that it's kind of cultural stuff, the really good shooting. And so I want to ask you, are there some specific training that you are using for your boys to just train this fundamental? I'm really curious about it because when I watched the Olympic Games, Italian team, it's really great, but I don't think there are as many really good shooters as Hungary, because Hungary is just like if you do a zone and you left some space, like just a few fakes to some players, they score for sure. And so I want to ask you some tips.
Yeah, the sessions always build up to have for the kids some space inside the training. What I mean is that when it comes to the shooting part of the session, there is always, let's say, 10-15 minutes in every training where the only exercises for the kids is to shoot the ball to the goal and maybe to have 1 or 2 blocks in front of you, but you decide what you want to do, how you want to reach the goal with the ball. So there are many ways: lob shots, only like strong shots, or from the water. Yes, and in my opinion, if we give some space to the kids, they try to use it in a very creative way. It's very similar when a bunch of kids go to the streets and play some football. Nothing concrete, not many rules, just the basic ones, and from that point on, the creativity will find its way. And that's why in football the most skilled players are played football with only the basic rules, and the coach let them find their best way. So in water polo, I believe if you give some space to the kids when it comes to shooting, he or she, the kid, will always find the best way which suits for them. And that might be the best tip.
Okay, thanks for the advice. Yeah, it's kind of the same of I wrote The Inner Game of Tennis, and it's a really good book for a coach, and it says that everyone has a personalized technique of everything. In this case, is about tennis, but you can use it for every sport, and the player just need to find its own technique, its own perfect technique. And I do think that your approach it's really good from this point of view. And talking about you told me that you used to leave them like 10-15 minutes alone with the goal. And so I want to ask you, because it's a huge problem in Italy, the water space. Okay, just finding a pool where to train, it's a huge problem in Italy. It's the same in the USA, as Zach told me. And I want to ask you, how is the situation in Hungary?
It's also a problem here, unfortunately. Talking about creativity, that's when it comes to mind about this problem. So not just the kid who has to be creative when it comes to shooting session, but the coach also has to have some creativity regarding the program when it comes to smaller pool space and the fewer hours. So if we don't want to get left behind, we have to be creative regarding how to use the smaller space which we have the best possible way, and how to use every square meters of the swimming pool which we have. It's an ongoing problem here in Hungary, but I believe that most of the coaches have the exact amount of creativity to try to solve it and to deal with it.
Yeah, I wrote an article in the New York Times that was talking about Hungarian story about water polo, and there is a snippet that I want to discuss with you, because Vince Vikbari says that Hungarians have the best pools in the world, and that's one of the main characteristics that provides to Hungarian players that gets Hungarian players better than players from all around the world. So it's that true?
Yes, absolutely. But this only true for the highest level in Hungary. So let's say the top 8 to 10 teams have the exact amount of swimming pool with the exact amount of time to work comprehensively. Under them, where actually I work, yeah, the situation is not that ideal. We have to deal with some fewer space, less time, and if that's the case, the only solution to try to get closer to the top 8 to 10 teams is to use every minute of the training and every square meters of the swimming pool as perfectly as possible. Yes.
Yeah, okay. And so talking about getting involved kids, boys, girls to the sport, I want to ask you, in your country, how do a kid get involved in water polo? Because in Italy, it's really hard because there are like thousands of sports that a kid can start from like when he have 10 years old, and soccer, it's the main sports. And if someone is bad at soccer, starts to play or volleyball or basketball, and then when you start to play water polo, you need to swim very well as a basic. And so how do a kid start to play water polo in Hungary?
Okay, so in Hungary, there is a common sense that every kid should swim at a basic level, and that's why almost every school tries to connect with swimming pools, and from time to time use it as an alternative PE lesson for the kids to get to know how to swim. And if a kid has their basics, then it's only up to him to stay in that sport, stay in that swimming pool community, or decide to try something else. But if a kid can swim and he's familiar with the unique community of swimming pools and this area as a whole, then I believe it will be attractive for him and her to stay in the pool, especially during summertime, which is getting hotter from year to year. It gets, from every year, it gets better solution to stick to the swimming pool.
So one of the best period to recruit kids, it's summer.
Yes, absolutely. That's why in every summer there is some unique training camps in Hungary, which is based on getting to know it with the kids that's not currently a member of that club. So getting to involve as many kids as possible, from like the basic techniques, and try to get to know them the fun way of water polo. So it's not like swimming miles and miles, but rather playing as much time as possible in a pool. So
Yeah.
that's how we can involve little kids to the sport.
Yeah, I completely agree with this statement. I'm agree. Kids just need to play, be passionate about the sports. Which age do they start playing water polo in Hungary? Because in Italy, you can start in average 12, 13 years old.
In Hungary, it's much lower. So in Hungary, specifically, I started playing water polo when I was 6, but I believe today a kid usually starts playing water polo around 7 to 8 years old. And their first league match, but it's not necessarily a league, just a proper match against another team as an opponent, comes to when a kid will be 10 years old. So until 10 years old, there is no matches and all, just the get to know the basics, enjoy it as much as possible and play as many things in water as possible to stick to the sport.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because maybe this is a topic in Italy we should start earlier to just introduce kids to water polo, because we have a lot of swimming lessons, a lot of swimming courses, but we don't have a lot of like 10 under water polo courses. Like in my society, the lower team is 1200, and
Okay.
they are really small for us. But if you are saying that in Hungary you start at 7, yeah, we should work on it.
To give you an example, my club, the Ibo Water Polo Club, is between the second division and the first division. So we are aiming currently for a promotion. Yeah, so as you can see, it's not the biggest and most popular club in Hungary, but we still have kids who's under 10 currently. So around age 8, 9, which I've talked to you about. But yeah, if that's the case in our club, then you can assume something like Ferencváros or some other big clubs that they're recruiting kids at an even earlier age.
Yeah, cool, really cool. And so I want to ask you about the league organization in Hungary, how it works. Like, because in Italy we play in the like 90% of championships, we play from January to June. We play just like half a year. In the USA, they are playing like 3 months a year. In Hungary, you play the whole year, or it's just like us?
Yes, almost the whole year. It's quite similar to how a kid goes to school. So exactly from September to the early of June. So yeah, before September, during summertime, we have a preparation, a training camp for the kids and also for the adults teams as well. And when it comes to September and the season starts, we have matches every week, almost every week or every 2 weeks, which is even true to the adults league. So for the first division, yeah, the thing is that there is many teams in Hungary in the lower areas or lower divisions, and you know, if we want to give everyone a chance to play against each other, we have to organize long seasons. So that's why we cannot solve it in just half a year, but rather in 10 months time. But yeah, it's quite long and the kids get tired at the end of it. About the structure, the adults league and the youth league is quite similar, regarding that there is the first division with the best teams in the country, and there is the second division, which is a bigger division in terms of how many teams participate in it. So this is bigger.
How many teams?
Currently, in the youth division, there is 25 teams in the second division, and only the best 16 plays in the first division. So it's a big difference, almost 10 teams. But, yeah, we have a regular season, just like in adults league, where we play against each other, and there is a list of teams at the end of it. And after that, there is some kind of playoff where the best teams of each division plays for the promotion, and the bottom teams play for the relegation. So I believe it's a very common structure for the leagues in Hungary.
Okay. Oh, really cool. So you play a lot of matches during the World season, and I do think that's a really good thing for specifically for young players, because they need to just play matches to improve, to get used to. And so today's, how can we get involved teenagers, and how can we catch attention of teenagers nowadays in our sport? Because we told about kids, and that's kind of easy because you need to convince parents, and then you need to passionate them. But
Yes.
then there is the problem that professionalism, it's not this accessible in Italy. I don't know in Hungary. And so a lot of people just quit to play water polo because it requires a huge amount of time and huge amount of fatigue. And specifically when you start to be 17, 18, a lot of people just quit to play. How can we just maintain these people into water polo? And then second question, how is the professionalism state in Hungary?
Okay, so how to stick kids to, or not so kids, mainly adults, teenagers, to this sport when it comes to growing up and have different interestings. That's why it's useful that Hungary has altogether four leagues in the adults league. So there is the elite one, the professional one, the first division, then the second division, in which it's mainly semi-pro in terms of there is not much money in it. It's more like some pocket money, but not so.
Okay.
Not that man. And when we go to the third division, it's mainly just for fun, just to enjoy it. Similarly, when you were a younger kid, so to have the joy, to have the passion, and to have a stage where you can play with your level. Yeah, so mainly third and the fourth division is about that, to enjoy it, to have some trainings during the week, and at the end of the week on a Sunday play a match, which is, if you win, it's everything, everybody's happy, it's great, but if you lose, nothing's gonna happen. So yeah, it's absolutely for fun, and it's very useful to have this stage where people who interested in other things, work, studies, etc., can still play water polo for 3 to 4 times a week, and it's good for their health, good for their feelings, their passions about it, and in that case they won't quit.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you are saying that professionalism in the first league, it's actually a thing. So players are paid and coaches too. Every player of a roster, or just because in Italy, I don't know specifically, but I do think that maybe in a roster of a middle team of the elite league, not every player is paid, because there are some young players that I don't know if they are paid. I'm just assuming it. So in Hungary, every player is paid as professional.
In the first division, yes, every player on the roster who's a proper adult and not comes from the youth division, so who is above 18, everybody gets paid. Yes, but from the second division, there is not much money in this sport, because the sponsors are not there anymore. It's not very attractive somehow for the spectators to watch some lower divisional game, even though the quality is really great. The dynamics of a second division match is also very enjoyable, but somehow the spectators won't attend to those matches.
Really fast question. Will the Ferencváros win the Champions League this year?
I believe yes.
What's the main opponent?
It has to be Barceloneta. They're quite strong. After them, I would say Olympiacos, if they somehow can solve the dynamics with this new team. But with no Proreco, Novi Belgrade, a bit downer than last year. Yeah, Ferencváros has a bright future in this year's Champions League, luckily.
Yeah, I believe it too. So thank you very much, and I really appreciate it.